Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Jock Talk. We are here to discuss a NFC North rivalry of the Lions at Packers, two teams that are vying for the number one spot in the NFC North this week. Should be a great matchup. Trone, it's good to talk about this game.
Yeah, it should be a good game. Finally getting some players back for the Packers. They're missing some others. Just a lot of health issues playing a factor tonight, but should be a pretty exciting game nonetheless.
Definitely. Well, yeah, we're still waiting on some final confirmations in terms of some players being in or out. We think the wording is Jair Alexander is going to be out tonight, which is big news for Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that Lions offense. But with what information we know so far, let's get into our buys and shorts for the night. Trone, you want to start off with your first buy?
Yeah, so my first buy is Luke Musgrave. So the Lions are worst in the league through the first 3 weeks of this year against tight ends. They're giving up about, I think, just shy of 20 points per game to tight ends. A lot of the underlying stats here tell us that Musgrave's pretty much on the verge of a breakout. He's averaging above an 80% snap share, which is which is kind of a baseline predictor of a season-long tight end one. So he's got that going for him. No other tight end on the team has received a 20% snap share yet. So it's really just all him at the position. He's got an ADOT, average depth of target of 11 yards down the field. And the only guy in the NFL with a higher ADOT right now is Kyle Pitts. So there's a big breakout game here, brewing here for Luke Musgrave. I want to be ahead of it, before the market corrects. Look, we're looking at a guy who should be breaking out in the way that Sam LaPorta is right now, but it just hasn't clicked yet. So I'm very into Luke Musgrave in this game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. As you mentioned, the Lions are really susceptible to over the middle. They let the Seahawks in week 2, their tight ends, get open all over them last week. In that week, and Kyle Pitts had his best game of the season last week, which fantasy owners I'm sure are happy to hear. I'm gonna stick with another tight end for my buy. It's going to be the Lions tight end Sam LaPorta. He's pre-ranked at 4th, trading around just $9.83 a share right now. So you're paying a little bit of a premium for him, but I just think he's going to have so many opportunities to produce tonight. I'm a big believer in this Packers defense, but without Jair Alexander and just Russell Douglas, he's going to be focused on Amon-Ra or Josh Reynolds or Khalif Raymond most of the night, and the rest of that secondary, meaning there's a lot of opportunity for LaPorta to get open down the middle of the field. The Packers let up a lot of points to tight ends. And LaPorta has just been one of the most impactful rookies at the tight end position that we've seen in years. He's finished above his fantasy projection in 3 straight games, and he's second to Amon-Ra in target share, receptions, and snaps. So he's basically become that number 2, nearing on a number 1 target for Goff. I believe LaPorta is going to be extremely effective tonight. Possibly even being the number 1 target if the Packers are so focused on Amon-Ra. So I'm buying him for sure.
Yeah, LaPorta's on pace to break a bunch of rookie tight end records. So, if you think that's going to continue tonight, that's an easy buy right there. Should we jump into our shorts?
Yeah, I'll just say keep riding the LaPorta train. Plus 188% profit gain last week. There's no reason to short him at this point.
Yeah, he had a big breakout game last week. So I'll dive into my first short here. AJ Dillon. The thing the Lions do the best on defense is defend the run. Dillon has just looked straight up bad this year. Averaging 36 rush yards per game on 13 attempts. That comes out to sub 3 yards per carry at 2.7. And in the passing game, he hasn't been much better. He's averaging just over a reception per game. It seems pretty clear that the Packers are really struggling to move the ball on the ground without Aaron Jones. Thankfully for them, they're going to get him back tonight, which makes A.J. Dillon even more of a short for me. So, yeah, A.J. Dillon, easy short. It just hasn't looked good for A.J. Dillon all year long. So I will not be buying A.J. Dillon.
Yeah, after watching the Lions hold Bijan to 3.3 yards a carry last week, I can only imagine what they're going to do to AJ Dillon. So love that short. My last short of that, I don't know. Trone kind of took mine for the night, so I don't have one that I necessarily love. There's a couple ways you can go with this. So Remeo Doubs and Jayden Reed, they're number 6 and 7 in our market right now. They've basically put up identical numbers for the first 3 games of the season. I mean, for the most part, they've finished within 10 receiving yards of each other each week. So just to kind of depending on how you're feeling or if there's more value in shorting Dobbs because he's ranked higher, maybe go with the guy you have more value on tonight for a short. I can't imagine that Watson, Musgrave, Dobbs, and Reed are going to all profit tonight. There's
No.
not a world where all 4 of them get equal and happy amount of target share. So between these two, one of them probably has to be the odd man out. But I think that an obvious short definitely would be Marvin Jones of the Lions. He saw last 2 weeks, he saw 0 targets after a very disappointing week 1. He's trading right now around $4 a share. If he doesn't catch anything, his price is going to go down to $1. That's probably an easy $2 or $3 profit you can make per share you short. So I see value in that.
Yeah, I think those are all really smart takes. I mean, on the Dobbs and Jayden Reed thing, it's kind of pick your favorite and short the other. Like you said, Dobbs is getting more snaps. He's the number 2 receiver, at least right now. However, Reed has been getting, like I said, fewer snaps, but has been doing more with those. He's been getting targeted at a higher rate per route. And he seemingly has a knack to find the end zone. So I don't know which one is the right buy and the right short, but I think it's you kind of pick your favorite here, and go with that. But Coleman, let's jump into a new segment here. I want to do a little pick'em lines versus the public. So basically, we want to look at some of the more popular pick'em lines that our users are taking right now, and see which way we would go. So the first one I want to bring up, Jordan Love, 251 pass plus rush yards. Which side are you on?
I'm on the over.
And I would be on the under. So there we go. We got our first split. Next one, Jared Goff, 256 passing yards.
I think with no Jair, I have to go over.
I would go over as well. Next one, I think I know which way you're going to go on this, but Sam LaPorta, 43 receiving yards.
I mean, have to go over. Or I go under.
You have to stay on brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take the under. I think the Packers right now are allowing about 10 fantasy points, 11 fantasy points a game to the tight end position. It wouldn't surprise me to have, LaPorta go a little kind of, to use a golf analogy here, kind of the tee shot after a birdie type of game here. A little bit of a dud after a huge game last week, but we'll see. Next one, staying at the tight end position, Luke Musgrave, 37 receiving yards.
I have to go over.
I'm going to go over as well. And then the last one, Jordan Love, more or less than 20 completions.
I'd probably have to say over.
I'm going to go under. So nice. We got a little split there. Pretty interesting, seeing how kind of where these lines are. I think it's easy to go over on a lot of these, or think they're going to go over. But I mean, Coleman, you've been paying pretty close attention to a lot of these pick'em trends. Seems like so far this year, I mean, I think week 2 was a big offensive week, but still largely the unders hit more often than the overs, right?
Yeah, unders went 11-5 in terms of game totals last week. We should expect the offensive football to get better over the course of the season. That's for sure. These teams don't practice anymore, so really all their reps come in season, and we kind of have to suffer through the product because of that. But I think it should adjust. This is an interesting game because so much of what we think is reliant on who's injured and who's playing.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think a couple guys in, couple guys out, like Jair going out. And then insert Aaron Jones and Christian Watson for the Packers. I mean, that's a huge lift to their offense. It was already humming pretty efficiently before that. I think Watson will be a really nice pairing with Jordan Love, because the one thing Watson does really well is, he goes deep down the field at a pretty elite level. And Jordan Love, really, he's that's one thing he does well, is push the ball down the field, or at least likes to. So that should be an interesting match there. I mean, and then we saw what Aaron Jones, even though he's getting up there in age, like he still clearly has the juice. So should be a nice boost to their offense this week. And all right, Coleman. Well, hey, that's all I had for tonight. Anything else? Any other thoughts before we send everyone on their way here?
No, it's nice to have a Thursday night game with some meaning, and just looking forward to this matchup. And then we'll get back to you guys tomorrow and then throughout the weekend for our Sunday preview. But yeah, looking forward to this rivalry matchup tonight.
Should be a good one. Thanks, everybody.
Take care.